Alright guys, welcome to the Branded Chimera guide that I will show you every important combo that you need to know here. It's pretty basic deck, pretty linear. I will show you the important ones, which are the one card combo starters, and then what we'll do together with the Branded Fusion. That's a bit unfortunate for the deck here over in the Master Duel, because in the TCG you have triple Branded Fusion, triple Branded Opening, which gives you a way better access to all of your Branded Fusion lines. Here we are a bit more reliant on hard drawing them, unfortunately, which makes the deck a bit worse, but I will show you everything that you need to know. Quick little note here, we will talk about the combos now, and then I will go over every card by card, name by name here, so you can copy this deck list and just climb the ladder if you want to. You can just copy this list here. I will go over every name in the end of the video and talk about one or two important cards here. One quick note, the barrier statue of the Abyss is basically tied to us getting a Baphomet, the mythical king of phantom beasts. If we don't get the Baphomet more in the pack tomorrow, which we are not quite sure of, then this combo is not possible. I've shown this to you in the video. I will show you the combo in the video, but then this will be an available combo later on. If that's not the case, then just put this statue thing out and put any hand trap in here. So this is what we are going to do. Let's hop right over into the combo part of the video, and I will show you the most basic combos, and then it's clear. I think you then have understood how the deck works. It's not that hard. So let's hop right over. Alright guys, let's talk over the first one card combo that we have available. This could also be the Mirror Sword Knight. In this case we have the Cornfield Coatl, which says if this card battles a monster, neither can it be destroyed by that battle. It's the illusion monster clause basically, and then you can discard this card at one monster that mentions Chimera Fusion from your deck to your hand, except this one. And this is also a targeting protection in the grave. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a card you control while you control Chimera, the flying mythical beast, which we will in a moment. Quick effect, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard and negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card. This is one of our hard negates here. So you could either start with the Cornfield or the Mirror Sword Knight. We are discarding the Cornfield to add the Mirror Sword Knight. Let's read him now so we have understood the cards that we are working with. This card battles, same thing here, and then you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. Quick effect, you can tribute this card, special summon. This is for cost, so can't be impermed. Special summon, or you can also dodge an imperm if your opponent imperms you on the Mirror Sword Knight beforehand, which never do this. You can tribute this card, special summon one monster from your deck that mentions Chimera Fusion. You see the Chimera Fusion thing is definitely important with this deck, except this one. And when a monster your opponent controls activate its effect while you control Chimera, the flying mythical beast, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard, negate that effect. So this is our effect negation when we have Chimera, and this is our targeting negation when we have Chimera, which we will make in a moment. You go normal summon the Mirror Sword Knight, activate its effect, tribute it to get to the field, the big winged Baphomet. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add one level 4 beast monster and or, so either or, one Chimera Fusion from your deck to your hand. Also you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except fusion monsters, which we don't really care about. And then the second effect will also come up in a moment. If this card is sent to the graveyard as material for a fusion summon, you can target one illusion monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Here's the important point at which, if you want to interrupt the Branded Chimera player, you should interrupt him here with a good hit, infinite impermanence, or maybe an Ash Blossom or an effect Veiler, because this generates 2 additional cards in hand, right? We firstly have the Gazelle, which also is a new card. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add one level 5 Fiend monster or one Chimera Fusion from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard as material for a fusion summon, you can add one illusion monster from your deck to your hand, which is the effect that will more often come up. And then we have Chimera Fusion, which, yeah, you are seeing the Branded Fusion, Chimera Fusion. This is also a quick play spell, which is actually very nice, because if your opponent, for example, so let's say we already had a Chimera Fusion in the hand and we would then play a big winged Baphomet, right? Then your opponent goes infinite impermanence on the big winged, and you could then go Chimera Fusion, dodge it to fusion summon first, which is definitely very nice, this being a quick spell. During the main phase, fusion summon one, during the main phase only, fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material, so unfortunately not from the deck, like Branded Fusion, including a beast or fiend monster. Not very hard to do with this setup. During your main phase, if this card is in your graveyard and you have Chimera, the flying mythical beast, on your field or in your graveyard, you can activate one of these effects. Add this card to your hand or banish this card, and if you do, special summon both one Gazelle, the king of mythical beasts, and one Baphomet from your deck and or graveyard. So 2 effects that can actually come up. This can produce 2 additional bodies, but this also can re-add itself, which is something we are going to do. We're going to go Chimera Fusion here. Remember, we have this from only one card. You will see this is actually quite insane, going for the new boss monster, Chimera, the king of phantom beast, which has 2-1 attacks, so not the most And only to understand, I have written it down here. Chain link 1 will be Gazelle, chain link 2 will be Baphomet, both of them are in the grave, Gazelle and Baphomet, and chain link 3 will be Chimera. But let's read Chimera first and understand what happens here. We need one beast monster and one fiend monster. This card name becomes Chimera, the flying mythical beast, so it's not really the name of this card, but it's treated as such while on the field or in the graveyard. You can only use each effect of following of the Chimera physical beast boops once per turn. If this card is fusion summoned, you can activate this effect, send one random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard during the end phase of this turn. So this automatically will rip a card out of our opponent's hand, which is why we are putting this as chain link free, because this cannot be like Ashed or Ghost Belt or something. So we want to chain block all the other effects before, which is why you want to make this chain link 3. And then it also says that during the end phase of this turn, during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one beast, fiend, or illusion monster in your graveyard, special summon it. We will see this come up in a moment. So the chain link 1, the Gazelle, is now activating to resummon the Mirror Sword Knight to our field, and then the big winged Baphomet, which is the next thing you're going to see, will add us a follow-up play. In this case, we will add a Mirror Sword Knight. Keep in mind, you could also add a Coatl if you, for example, in this combo did not have a Coatl, because let's say you started with the Mirror Sword Knight, which means you don't get access to your Coatl. Coatl is your basic searcher for the Mirror Sword Knight, but you could also start with the Mirror Sword Knight. In that case, just grab the Cornfield Coatl, because then you can just go Cornfield Coatl effect, put it to the graveyard, search the Mirror Sword Knight, and then you would also have the Cornfield protection, the targeting protection here in the grave, if you would not have it already, right? In this case, though, we are just grabbing the Mirror Sword Knight for follow-up. Then we are going to activate Chimera Fusion's effect in the graveyard to just get it back to the hand, and then we will set Chimera Fusion. This is our end board, and we have done this with only one card. Keep that in mind. This is very important, because obviously this means in your Branded Chimera deck, you will most likely also have your Branded Fusion stuff, so you might still have a Branded Fusion in hand that you can go into a like Mirror Jade with, which obviously is super strong, or you might have hand traps in the hand that will be able to interrupt your opponent. So if this deck can go to its one card combo and has some other nice cards in the hand, this can be pretty disruptive. We are going over to our opponent's turn here, indicated by opponent's turn, and then you can activate Mirror Sword Knight's effect, tributing itself to summon another big winged Baphomet, just because the big winged Baphomet will give us 2 additional cards to the hand. And remember, we have the Chimera Fusion that obviously we can go into the Guardian Chimera with, so we want some more material here. And then at any point, you can obviously use the negation effect of the Mirror Sword Knight, the targeting effect of the Cornfield Coatl, and let's say you have used them already, then you can go Chimera Fusion, and obviously you can now decide whether you want to use 2 from the hand or 2 from the field. In this case, we have used 2 from the field, 1 from the hand. Obviously depends on the situation whether you want to draw 2 or destroy 2. And then in this case, for example, you could go chain link 1 Baphomet, chain link 2 Gazelle, same as last turn, because the Gazelle can now resummon something from the grave, and the Baphomet can once again add something to the hand. So the Baphomet grabs, for example, a Cornfield Coatl, and the Gazelle summons back a Mirror Sword Knight. And you can see we have definitely everything for follow-up that we need for next turn. We can just next turn make another Chimera, the King of Phantom Beasts here, and we have just used the Guardian Chimera. What you can also do if you want to is activate a Chimera, the King of Phantom Beasts' second effect, banishing it from the graveyard to special summon. Now I have to read so I don't tell you like wrong things. 1 beast, fiend, or illusion monster in graveyard, and special summon it to the field. We obviously have just used the effect of Big Winged Baphomet, so this is only a body that we can then work with on our next turn. So this is your basic bread and butter combo that you can achieve by 1 card only, which will be your Mirror Sword Knight normal summon or your Cornfield Coatl. So that's quite nice. Obviously, if you start with anything that is not your Mirror Sword Knight or your Cornfield Coatl, then that means that you will not have these interruptions in your graveyard. So let's, for example, say, because this could also be the case, you start with your big winged Baphomet in the hand, which you then obviously cannot normal summon, but you could, for example, start with your Gazelle, the King of the Mythical Claws, which would then be able to add you something else, so you would have a different starting line, right? So these are the 1-card starters, the Cornfield Coatl and the Mirror Sword Knight, but obviously you have them like 6 times in your deck, which means it's very likely that you would draw them and can start your plays from there. Anything else will need you to start with like a different part of the combo, so you might just have the Chimera Fusion in the hand, just starting to make the Chimera the King of Phantom Beasts, and then trying to add some of the negations to your hand later on, which obviously works, but then you would probably not have access to both the negates. So that is how the first most basic of basic combos works with this deck. Alright, another cool one-card starter that you have available is your Branded Fusion. Let me show you what you can do with that one. You go Branded Fusion and you dump to the grave a Fallen of Albas and then also the Gazelle, which is actually a beast monster. So what can you make with this? You can obviously make a Rindbram, which is a very nice extra monster deck negate, extra monster deck negate here. And then we have the Rindbram on the field. Now we can activate the Gazelle in the graveyard to add to our hand the starting point of our Branded Chimera combo, which is our Mirror Swords Knight. So basically we are now in the combo that you have just seen. Now you can do the basic combo that you have seen, or the extended combo with the other fusion monster with the Dark Lock if you wanted to, but I will show you something different that you can also do, ending on a nice board that requires you some extra cards in your main deck. So you go normal summon Mirror Sword Knight, obviously activate effect to summon the big winged bear from it. You're going to add your fusion card obviously, and then you can also add a Spring and Skid, because this one says beast monster and Spring and Skid is a beast monster, which Spring and Skid you can now also special summon because Albas is in the graveyard. Sorry, if you have fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albas on your field or graveyard, we have the Rindbram obviously. And now we can activate the Spring and Skid, getting to our hand branded in white and putting one of our hand cards back under the deck. Just imagine there were hand cards. Obviously, we do not only have a branded fusion, we have more. So put one of the hand cards back and now we have a branded in white. Next thing we are going to do is we are going to use the Chimera fusion with these two here to go into our Chimera King of the Phantom Beasts. And now we can activate the Chimera to rip card out of the hand, and then also the big winged Baphomet, you know it already, to resummon the Mirror Swords Knight. Next we can grab back our Chimera Fusion to the hand, which can be an interruption on our opponent's turn, going into a Guardian Chimera for example, and now we can use Branded in white. Activate Branded in white using the Albas, and then you can, for example, use the Spring and Skid to go into your Lubelion. Lubelion then needs to, I just showed this here, discard the Chimera Fusion. Obviously, you do not want to discard the Chimera Fusion because the Chimera Fusion means, or basically exemplifies Guardian Chimera on your turn. So I'm going to reset it in a moment here. Just imagine there's another card in the hand that I have just discarded. We are going to set this in the end phase, obviously. And then you can make your Mirror Jade with your Lubelion and your Fallen of Albas. So now you have your extra monster negate Rindbram, you have your Mirror Jade that you can use, you have your monster negate Mirror Swords Knight on the field. Only thing missing is the Cornfield Coatl protection effect, and then you also, Branded White has to go to the graveyard. You also have your Chimera Fusion to go into Guardian Chimera with, if you wanted to, if you have cards in your head, monsters left that you can fusion summon with, obviously. So this is an extended combo line, but just keep in mind that if you don't want to play this Spring and Skid Branded White package, which you don't need to, you can just go for the Rindbram with the Branded Fusion, because this also gets you into all of your plays. So you basically have 9 starters available, and this already shows you how consistent this deck actually is with its basic combo. So yeah, this is what you can do with Branded Fusion. Alright guys, for the next combo we will once again start with the Mirror Sword Knight. Keep in mind that the card we are using now to create a lock, so this is a lock combo. We do not have confirmation whether this will be in the pack or it won't, but it will come later then, because this is the only card that has been added later to the archetype. I personally think it will also come. Remains to be seen though, so keep that in mind. So we are going to play Mirror Sword Knight normal, and you know the drill already. We are going to summon the big winged Baphomet, big winged effect to add ourselves the Chimera Fusion, and then also the Gazelle, which is basically always what you want to do with this card here. So in this sense, this deck is very linear in the sense that the starter plays are basically always the same. Next thing, it's the same. You're going to go Chimera Fusion with these two, and for Chimera, the King of the Mythical Beasts, then once again the Chainlink, so 1 Baphomet, 2 Gazelle, 3 King of Beasts. So yeah, this one will discard card of our opponent's hand. The other one will now add Cornfield Coatl, and now we can resummon the Mirror Sword Knight from the graveyard. In this case, we can add the Cornfield Coatl because we don't have it, so that's nice. Next, we are going to activate the Chimera Fusion in the graveyard, re-adding it to the hand, and then we activate the Cornfield Coatl, getting it to the grave. So at this point, we have both of our negations live, and we can add a follow-up Mirror Sword Knight. So this was the point at which we have basically set the Chimera Fusion and then made a Guardian Chimera on our opponent's turn. But what we can also do, because this I didn't tell you last turn, or I didn't point to that, but this effect is not once per turn, so you can activate it once again this turn. You can, though, not once again add it to your hand after you have used it, so you can't use it a third time. We are going to use it right now to fusion summon with our Chimera and our Sword Knight from the hand into the monster that I'm talking about, that we are not quite sure of whether this comes. I would say it comes. If not, then this is relevant for the next pack where this will come out. We are going into Baphomet, the Mythical King of Phantom Beast, which this card name becomes Chimera, the Flying Mythical Beast, whether on the field or in the graveyard. So once again, we have a Chimera, the Mythical Beast, on our field to make all the negations live. It's basically the same card as this one here, though the effect is different. It says, if this card is fusion summoned, you can send one beast, fiend, or illusion monster from your deck to the graveyard, and then during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one of your banished beast, fiend, or illusion monsters except this one, special summon it. So the cool thing is, and we have seen this in the other replay, you could banish this from the grave also to resummon one of these, and you can now banish this from your graveyard to resummon this one here, which obviously you can't banish this to summon itself because this normally doesn't ever work, so it doesn't work here. So this can resummon this, while this can only resummon these guys here, though this can also resummon this one. So we have now, we can put the fusion away for a second. We will send the Barrier Statue of the Darkness, so in a moment. So this basically makes all the negates alive, and we can then send the Barrier Statue of the Abyss to the graveyard, which says neither player can special summon monsters except dark monsters, which is nice for us because our most important monsters are actually dark monsters. The Mirror Sword Knight normally you normal summon, and for example the Big Winged Baphomet is normally a monster that you special summon. Obviously this locks ourselves also a bit, but the idea obviously is to make the turn of our opponent harder so that he has to battle over this thing. In the current meta is very nice because you can just go and put this on your opponents or on your board when you play against Snake Eyes, and all the Snake Eyes base monsters don't have the ability to battle over this. He would need to go into the temple with his Poplar, and then you can just negate the Poplar or the temple, and then he can't do anything basically because then he can't special summon. So you just have to negate the temple, basically giving the Snake Eye monsters an attack boost, and then he basically has to skip his turn. So now we are going to the opponent's turn. We are now opponent's turn. We can now activate in the graveyard a Chimera, the King of Phantom Beast, which once again, just to remember you, it says you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one beast, fiend, or illusion monster in your graveyard. Special summon this is a fiend monster, so we can now special summon the guy. There are also other targets that you could use, the Tiger Wangu or End of Anubis, for example. Now we have the lock on the field, and we can also just go Mirror Sword Knight into, as I already said, Big Winged Baphomet, because this is a dark, and then the Big Winged Baphomet can once again grab ourselves the Chimera fusion and then also the Gazelle, like we have seen many times before. So now you have locked your opponent, and you also still have your monster negate and then also your targeting negate here in the graveyard. So this is very, very strong. Obviously it depends a bit on the meta. If everyone is running around playing Branded Chimera Labyrinth, then you might not want to go for this, but we are in a fire meta at the least, so this is very, very nice. This is the second combo that you can do if we have access to the Baphomet, the Mythical King of Phantom Beasts already. Alright, and at the end of the video we are going over the deck list card by card. 3 Gazelle, King of the Mythical Beast, 3 more Sword Knight, and 3 Cornfield Coatl, of course. These are our 1-card starters. 2 a Big Winged Baphomet. We don't want to hard draw. This is just a normal summon that we can't normal summon. You could obviously do a tribute summon if you want to. We have 2 Aluba giving us access to our Branded Fusion, 2 Fallen of Albers, so we can, for example, make another Branded Fusion if we can once again get access to it. We have a Droll and Lockbird at 2. We have Triple Ash, Blossom, and Joyous Spring. We have a Branded Fusion, obviously, Branded Opening that gets us to the Branded Fusion via the Alubers. We have 2 Caught by the Graves, a triple Chimera Fusion, triple Super Poly, triple Infinite Impermanence, the Barrier Statue of the Abyss if we can play it. Remember, we need this guy for that. We have the Spring and Skid, the Branded and White, also a package that you don't need to run if you don't want to, but you have seen what this can do. We have triple Maxi and then the Cross out, which is very important, obviously, to get rid of an Ash. We have a Mirror Jade here in the extra deck, and if we do not get the Baphomet or the Mythical King of Phantom Beasts, just put another Mirror Jade in here. We have 2 Guardian Chimeras, 2 Chimera, the King of Phantom Beast, 1 Chimera, the Illusion Beast, which we have not seen, but this is a good thing for decaying your opponent. You can also make this with your Chimera Fusion. This card's name is also Chimera, the Flying Mythical Beast, while on the field or in the graveyard, and I'm really suspecting that we will get this card. This is pretty much safe to come. This card can attack monsters a number of times each battle phase up to the number of materials used, which, as you can see, you can use +1 illusion monsters for this as material, and this has a 3100 attack. So yeah, and if this card attacks or battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by battle, which is obviously very nice. And then at the end of the damage step, if this card battled an opponent's monster, you can change that opponent's monster's attack to 0, also negates its effects. So once you have battled once with this card into anything, then the card cannot be destroyed, and you can make everything get 0 attack, and then it's pretty clear how easy it is to kill your opponent with this card, so that's very important. We have 1 Magnum the Reliever, 1 Albion, 1 Lubelion, 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp, 1 Grindbrim the Striking Dragon Worm, Garua for the Super Poly, obviously, Predaplant Dragostapelia for the Super Poly, and then Titanic Clad the Ash Dragon, and the Baphomet the Mythical King of Phantom Beast. Note that obviously you could just not play the Super Polymerization package if you don't want to, and just opt for more hand traps, or I don't know, maybe like board breakers like Forbidden Droplets. Forbidden Droplet is a card that could be used here, but yeah, I would definitely go for the Super Polys in my opinion at the current state of the game. But yeah, this is the guide. Let me know in the comments what you think. Are you excited for the deck? Will you play the deck? Let me know what I may have missed here. Thanks for being here. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up and the notification bell, and we will see each other in the next one.